I'm pregnant with your husband's child, my sister suddenly confessed. I was speechless. That's why. Please divorce me right away, he said. I will remarry your sister. I'm sorry I stole a husband who won 1 million yen per month as a doctor, my sister said, with my husband looking down on me with a serious expression and tightly holding her hand. I was so shocked that I couldn't say anything. Ha ha ha, what's with the face? You're still as ugly as ever. That's why your husband changed his mind. From now on, you will have to live on your low salary. My sister laughed loudly and I felt my heart turn cold. I wanted to say I'm sorry, but not to them. They wouldn't even know that I was secretly laughing inside, knowing my sister's misunderstanding. My name is Autumn. It's been 3 years since I married my husband Arthur. We met in the university tennis club. Tennis was the only way for me to relieve stress from my suffocating university life, which was all about studying. The club was a bright and cheerful activity, so I often spent time on the school tennis court, cutting into my study time. You have a beautiful form, he said. It was my husband who approached me first. Arthur, who was in a different department from me, didn't seem too busy with studying. And whenever I visited the club, he was always the first one to approach me. I used tennis hard until high school. I quit because of an injury, but I can teach you. I think we're very compatible, he said, using the usual pick-on lines. I believed it all, hook, line, and sinker. Until then, I had never dated a guy and had hardly had a decent conversation because I was so focused on studying. I was captivated by Arthur's aggressive attitude. 5 years later, I would realize how difficult it would be. After graduating from college, Arthur and I got married. It would be a lie to say that we never fought or talked about breaking up during our time in school. In reality, I'd ended up forgiving my unreliable husband's action every time, and our relationship dragged on until graduation. I'll definitely be a good husband. I believed the words of his proposal. But looking back on it now, I'm not so sure. However, at the time, I still had a feeling of trust toward him, as well as emotion of being in a 5-year-long relationship. He's not a bad person at heart. I accepted his proposal with a somewhat light-hearted feeling. After we both entered the workforce, we became a dual-income household. I had a strong desire to work, and my husband didn't object to me go out. Rather, he actively encouraged me. With the combined earning of two of us, we have a plenty decent annual income for a household. It was probably a blessing that we had this economic leeway while we were young. We couldn't have children yet because of our job. It was still early in our career, so we focused on getting our own life together first. It was climbing the career ladder smoothly and enjoying fulfilling days. But, oh my, what's this? My gaze unintentionally drifted to the smartphone my husband had left in the living room. There was a message from an unfamiliar name. I usually try not to pry into people's private life, but my husband has a history of cheating. It had happened during our college day. At the time, my husband had secretly been exchanging messages with a girl from another club behind my back. I entered my husband's birthday and easily unlocked his smartphone. I opened the messaging app and was horrified to see that my worry had come true. There were records of flirtatious messages with a certain woman. I immediately confronted my husband. He reacted as if he were a monkey in a zoo that has lost its mind. It was a mistake, Autumn, he said. In other words, you admit to cheating. You had a relationship with this woman. That is, let's make love at the unusual hotel. It's amazing how you can send such messages at your age. She's a new high school graduate. To sum up my husband's story, he had slept with a new female employee. He was her supervisor. It was a common story, but what was he educating her on exactly? I'm really sorry. I mean it, Autumn. I won't make this kind of mistake again. I ended up forgiving my husband's sincere apology. It was a repeat of what had happened during our university days. I couldn't help but sigh at my husband's careless attitude. Unlike when we were students, we had too many obligations and ties. If we got a divorce, we would have to report it to both of our families, apologize to our friends, and explain the situation at work. Honestly, it would have been easier to punish my husband harshly than to deal with all the hassle. Of course, I made him write a letter promising that he wouldn't make the same mistake again. That's how our marriage life has continued, with some ups and downs, but we've managed to endure it. One day, Autumn received a sudden call from her mother, who was crying uncontrollably. What? Dad? Her father had passed away. He had collapsed on his way home after drinking and was taken to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with a stroke. Unfortunately, he couldn't recover from it due to delayed discovery and the fact that it was freezing cold the night before. He was 60 years old and close to retire. Autumn, being a daughter, took charge of all the funeral arrangement. Her mother was too overwhelmed to handle anything. With the help of her relatives, she managed to complete all the procedure despite the difficult situation. Autumn believed that the inconvenience caused to her workplace was the biggest problem she had ever caused in her life. However, her colleagues and supervisors did not complain a bit. She would never forget the gratitude she felt at the moment for the rest of life. The only problem was with her sister Aubrey. She was 2 years older than Autumn and left home right after high school. It has been almost 10 years since Autumn last saw her sister. The reason she left home was because she had always been a troublemaker and caused problem for their parents. She had even had run-ins with the police several times. Aubrey had been quite unrestrained in her relationships with men since junior high school, even dating multiple other men. Some of these men were even married. As her older sister, our parents frequently scolded her, saying, "Live your life seriously. Don't ruin your own life." Although it was the most reasonable advice, it didn't seem to resonate with Aubrey at all. Eventually, our parents found out that Aubrey had given money from our house to a house club man, which resulted in a big fight with our father in particular. "Get out!" It was no surprise that our father declared disowning her. "I don't consider you as my daughter anymore." As she retorted with her own words, "Who would want to come back to this poor, gloomy house?" After that, she never visited us until our father's death, but we had to let her know about it. Autumn used her sister's phone number and informed her father's death on the same day through a short message. Even though her mother was angry and thought it was unnecessary, Autumn couldn't neglect her own sister. However, her sister didn't contact her until just before the funeral. Autumn thought it was okay if she didn't come, but finally her sister appeared at the Buddhist memorial service after the cremation. It has been about 10 years since Autumn has seen her sister's face, which was now heavily made of almost 30% more than usual. "Oh, you got married," her sister said, turning to face them after a brief greeting to their father, who had passed away. Autumn's sister seemed more interested in the fact that Autumn had brought her husband along. Although he has managed to take time off from work to attend the funeral, Autumn's husband has been as nervous as a bottled cat before her sister's arrival. He was not the kind of person who could efficiently handle a situation like this. Autumn had heard him mumble, "I wish this could be over soon," but she didn't miss a word. "Your husband not bad looking for someone you married from work. Did you meet him in college?" "We were in the same circle back then. We actually work in different places." "Oh, I see. You managed to snag yourself a decent educated man. Not bad for someone who only focused on studying. And it looks like you're not struggling for money either." "Well, with him being a doctor, his salary is decent. Plus, we both work. Anyway, sis, make sure to greet Dad properly." "Oh, doctor, how impressive." I saw the glint in my sister's eyes, and she might have even licked her lips. My husband, on the other hand, could only fidget nervously under her snake-like gaze. That was the end of our meeting that day. My sister said she would contact me soon, but she never even sent a condolence gift. I have no intention of echoing my mother's compliment of her being an ungrateful daughter. It was on a certain day, half a year after the situation had gone away. Although the sadness of losing my father has not yet healed, I had almost forgotten about the day of the funeral and the reunion with my sister there. On the other hand, my sister seems to remember it well, and so did my husband. "Hey, Arthur!" On my way back from work, I saw my husband's familiar figure near the station. He was wearing a navy suit that I had just cleaned yesterday. What made me gasp was the figure of a woman next to my husband. They were holding hands affectionately. It was my husband's bad habit again. Flame of anger surged with me, but his crime was not the only thing that surprised me this time. Standing next to my husband, showing up her miniskirt, was my own sister Aubrey, holding my husband's hand. My own sister having an affair with my husband? Without thinking, I decided to follow them. If this was really a sin of adultery, I would never forgive my husband. I have been troubled by my husband's infidelity many times, but it wasn't a joke when the other woman was my own sister. Moreover, the two of them had met at my father's funeral. I will definitely catch them by the tail this time. I gritted my teeth, determined not to lose sight of the two of them. As expected, they walked toward the hotel district. My husband was supposed to be at work, so what excuse did he use to leave the two of them passed by several hotels, sticking even closer together. Finally, they stopped at one of the hotels and began kissing. Disgusting. Of course, this wasn't the first time I had witnessed my husband's infidelity. They went inside the hotel in front of them, and I held back my nausea, waiting for a while before calling my husband's smartphone. It took him a while to answer, and there was a tense pause before he finally spoke. "What?" "I'm at work." There's something I need to confirm with you. Who are you with right now? What do you mean? I'm with my colleagues and boss. We have an important meeting to attend. I see. So your workplace is a love hotel? The jewelry resort? It's a quiet, promiscuous name, don't you think? Why you'd say that? I also know that my sister is next to you. You explained to me. You and my sister are waiting together there. My husband's voice became hoarse and muffled toward the end. Finally, he relented and confirmed the room number to me after checking with my sister next to him. All right, I gathered my strength and stepped into the hotel. I explained the situation to the receptionist and paid for another room. Since they had caused me such humiliation, I won't go easy on my husband anymore. As I opened the door to room 402, my husband was waiting in a blue-faced, dressed in a gown, having already taken off his suit. My sister was there too, also in a gown, looking at me with a disdainful expression. She didn't even feel guilty, having even smoked a cigarette. Rather, she seems to be enjoying the situation. Just like 6 months ago, her makeup was caked on like paint. I turned toward her crispy expression, knowing she was the one I had to deal with first. What's your intention, sister? You know, he was my husband, and yet you still made a move on him. Well, I couldn't help it. I was jealous. I had a hard time since I was kicked out of our parents' house. The house I spent money on even left me, and nothing good has happened to me. Yet, you seem to have a happy married life. Leaving home was just my sister's selfishness, wasn't it? She wanted to trouble our parents until the very end, and even mess up my household on top of that. Things have been messed up from the beginning, haven't they? I heard from Arthur. It's really pitiful that you don't even have a peaceful time at home because all you do is say harsh things. That's why I'm here to comfort you. Don't say whatever you want. That's a problem within our household. In short, you haven't been able to satisfy your husband. Have you? You are a plain and boring woman, unlike me. I'm the one who can satisfy him, which is why we've been together for half a year now. Lie! It's been since right after that funeral. Please understand, Autumn. It was at my limit too. All you did was nag at me, and you haven't acted like a married couple in almost a year. We haven't even been intimate. My husband revealed our marital problem in front of my sister. I felt so embarrassed that I must wanted to cry, but I restored it back to my husband. Adam's husband finally looked up at her with a determined face and turned toward her after his sister intervened. We couldn't stay married because of your womanizing ways. Did you forget your promise? You said you would never betray me again, Adam said accusingly. Well, her husband hesitated. Of all people, you had to choose my sister. And right after my father's funeral, no less, she continued. Hey, stop bullying Arthur. He's not yours anymore, right, Arthur? Her sister interjected, as if whispering something into her husband's ear. Now it was Arthur's turn to be caught off guard. Please, Autumn, let's get a divorce. We have a baby on the way, her husband said with conviction. What? Autumn was speechless. Exactly as you heard, I'm pregnant now with Arthur's child. We've been making love every week since then. This baby is the fruit of our love, her sister said lovingly as she loved her belly. Autumn's jaw dropped. They were both competent criminals from the start. Her husband had planned to cheat on her with his sister, and he intended to end their marriage. That's why they didn't use contraception. It was just to show up their baby in front of Autumn. Too bad. You don't stand a chance. He's already mine. You're going to break up with him and marry me, right, Arthur? Let's be happy together. The three of us, with the baby on the way. I will do my best too. Ha ha ha, you've been dumped. My condolences. Your elegant lifestyle is over. Doctors can make a monthly salary of 1 million yen, you know. That will be mine from now on. After my sister left her echoed, I left the hotel room. Honestly, I don't remember how I got home after that. I vomited 3 times in my own bedroom. While squeezing out stomach acid, tears wouldn't stop falling from my eyes. What's more frustrating than losing my husband is that they both trampled on my humanity. And they used the baby in my belly to do it. I cried all night and welcomed the morning with a dry body. From that day on, my husband never came home. It was certain that he was staying with my sister. He will probably pack his bag and leave soon. And he might present me with the divorce papers, along with the wedding ring we chose together 5 years ago. The worst day of my life. But I couldn't take a day off from work. There are people who rely on me. Above all, work is my mainstay now. I gritted my teeth and held back nausea and tears as I made my way to the workplace. A week later, as usual, I was working at the office when my husband and sister appeared in front of me. I wasn't particularly surprised, but it seemed quite shocking to them. My sister looked at me in disbelief as she sat in a patient chair, holding her stomach. Why? Because this is the obstetrics and gynecology department, and I'm in charge today. The doctor who usually examines you is off for a personal reason. You are the doctor? Why? Arthur was supposed to be the doctor. My sister looked puzzled, alternating her gaze between me and my husband. I lost my composure and explained it to her properly. Looks like you've got it wrong, sis. I'm the doctor. I studied hard to get into medical school. At the funeral, Arthur said he was a doctor. You got yourself a high-earning husband. Who's a doctor? She said. I just said that if one of us became a doctor, we would have a decent income. You misunderstood me, I replied. That's not true. Arthur said he was a doctor. My sister's gaze was piercing, and my husband, who had apparently come as an escort, was just staring, askew like a fish flopping around on the beach. I was going to talk to you properly, but then you said you had a child. You're right about being a doctor to impress me and slept with my sister. How pathetic. You're not a low-wage salaryman. What about it? What do you mean, low wage? What about your monthly salary of 1 million? You've even been looking at skyrise apartments. You've requested your favorite car dealer for your car, and you've already maxed out your card loan limit on designer bags and shoes. Why waste money like that? Wait, why is Autumn here at this hospital? Was she work at another hospital? That's why I brought Avery here. When I was on leave for my father's funeral, the doctor here helped me multiple times. Now, it's her turn, and I returning the favor. While you were enjoying your affair, I was working my hardest. Autumn, got it? This is it for us. I'm fed up. You can get a divorce or remarry as you please, but I expect you to pay me a proper compensation fee. Wait, Autumn, I was wrong. I promise to change my ways. Let's forget about the divorce for a while. What are you talking about? When you cheated with that girl from work before, you made a promise, didn't you? If you do it again, I will demand any amount of compensation I want. I presented my husband with the written agreement I had taken with my smartphone camera, complete with his signature and thumbprint. My husband flinched and let out a silent scream. At least 5 million yen. No, considering it's right after my father's funeral, I think we can add some extra percentage up to that. I will have a good lawyer on the case, so you two better tremble in anticipation together. Wait, does that include me too? Will you ask me for compensation too? Of course. Stealing my husband from my own sister means that much. Don't worry, I will give you a reprieve until the child is born. That's my moral duty as a gynecologist. But on the condition that you pay up in full once the child is born. You will also have to give up all of your sister's bags and shoes and add a contribution to the funeral fund. You will have to kneel and apologize in front of my father's grave. I finished speaking and glared at my sister. Then I moved on to my regular checkup. Please lie down on the bed, I instructed, but my sister ran out of the examination room as if she were fleeing. I may have frightened the nurses with my rubber gloves. My remaining husband seemed to want to say something for a moment, but he withdrew with a sigh. Under the cold stare of nurses, I was truly refreshing to think that I would never have to see my husband's face again. Then, half a year later, my sister apparently gave birth to a healthy baby at a different obstetrics and gynecology clinic. Whatever my sister had done, the child was not at fault. Knowing there was a healthy baby girl, I felt relieved inwardly. But it was different when it came to my sister herself. I didn't feel a share of pity for her. As I had declared, after the child was born, I sent my sister a letter demanding compensation for damages. The total was 5.3 million yen. Of course, 300,000 yen was for my father's funeral expense. If I received the payment, I plan to give it to my mother. Talking about my ex-husband, it seems he's struggling to make ends meet with the alimony he had to pay me. The rumor of his affair at work had made it impossible for him to continue there. It seems that finding a new full-time job has been difficult for him. He is currently juggling multiple temporary jobs. I have no idea who spread the rumor about his infidelity at his old workplace, but it's better left unsaid. On top of that, there are rumors that he still can't keep his hands off other women. He's been getting in trouble with my sister for fooling around with women nearby. I'm just glad that we're no longer together and I can focus on my work as an obstetrician. Today, I'm helping expectant mothers with their expanding bellies, and it feels fulfilling to be able to do so.